time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
Hello and welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to the Boring Company. Hope you're all well today. Back to you with an important episode. Obviously, Resorts World project is due to open later this month, if not maybe at the start of next month. I think it's around 4 to 5 weeks away. We will see vehicles using that system. However, there is another project just down the road from here, the Wynn Encore Loop, and I wanted to talk about that today because it's kind of been forgotten, but it's been waiting for the Resorts World project to finish, and then this is going to start. So, without further ado, let's talk about the Wynn Encore Casino. I have talked about this project in the past. It's been a bit of a while. We have lots of new subscribers, and people are kind of getting more into the Boring Company, so I wanted to kind of look at this project again and say, hey, why is this such an important project, and what do I expect to happen on this one? As per usual, please like and subscribe to the video if you've not already done so. Hit that bell icon as well if you can. Okay, so the project is actually officially known as the Encore LVCC Connector. I prefer the Wynn Encore Loop, but hey, you know, that's what the documents say. So just to kind of summarize this particular project. The project is due to commence in the next 5 to 8 weeks. I'm not entirely sure when it will start. It doesn't look like they have done too much preparatory work in the kind of region where the tunnel is going to start, but that could start tomorrow for all I know. But it's definitely going to be starting in the next 5 to 8 weeks. Hopefully it's earlier than that, but that's what my kind of best guesstimate is. It's a single tunnel. It's 0.59 miles long, which is a good length, slightly longer than the Resorts World tunnel. It also has a really good alignment. It's very, very straight for the majority of its route, so that's good for the TBM and for the conveyor belt system, because we don't want delays like we had with Resorts World. Hopefully they've overcome those particular issues with the conveyor belt system, spoil removal, that kind of thing, but hey, we will find out. It will be built, this tunnel, by Proof-Rock Revision 2, so it's kind of like a slightly revised version of the TBM that built Resorts World. As far as I can see, it looks pretty much exactly the same, but hey, you know, maybe they've made some changes internally with this particular model. Both stations are above ground at either end, so they're using. This is the first actual project the Boring Company is going to use porpoising at the beginning and at the end as well. So there's no kind of reception shaft. There's no launch pits. This is the most cost-effective means of building tunnels. Connector will utilize 12 to 14 Tesla vehicles. I think they have 12 vehicles for running, and then they have like 2 reserve vehicles. I mean, that could change. A lot of the documentation that I've got for this particular project is a little bit long in the tooth now, but I'm assuming it's still correct, although they did make quite a few changes for Resorts World, so I guess we'll find out. But it's going to have a fairly low capacity, this one, because it's just connecting the conference centre to the hotel, and you don't need large numbers of vehicles. And it's a one-way system as well, so you're going to have stops and starts here and there. Okay, so let's look at the contract documentation and discuss, where it is and what's going on. First thing to note, I'm not entirely sure that this alignment is now correct. I think this has changed, but I'll just show you this particular plan because it's a high definition plan and I particularly like it. I think that the actual termination point of this tunnel is going to be somewhere like this, somewhere here. But hey, here's the Resorts World tunnel, which has now been completed. It is set to open at the end of the month. As you can see, we have our underground station here, and that's going to be linking up to our connector here. As you can see, in terms of the alignment, it spends most of the time going alongside this golf course, and then it ends up at the front of the Wynn here. This is what it's going to look like. So these areas here in red will be below ground, but they'll be at a gradient, so they'll be coming, as it were, ramps. The area over here in green, I've picked the wrong colour for this, haven't I? The area here in green is going to be above ground, and this is where vehicles will kind of stack up and passengers will disembark. As you can see, we've got this fancy French word here, which I'm not really even going to attempt to pronounce, but it's basically a covered area at the front here where people can wait outside of the searing heat of Nevada, as it were. What else? What else have we got? So this, I believe to be the actual alignment. That's what I think, anyway. Let me just pull that back. There we go. So as you can see, it's going to connect up to station 2. Therefore, you know, you can get out of the vehicle here, and then you can get into the station. You'd have to go to the surface, then go down the escalator, and then you could get a vehicle either to the new part of the conference center, or, you know, down to the old part, down this kind of direction here. But in terms of gradient of this curve, it's fairly kind of gentle, as it were, around 300 to 500 meters, somewhere in that kind of ballpark. And then it pops up here, so it porpoises. So it actually, I'm presuming, I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty close to 100% on this. So let's say 99%. That this is where proof work will start. So proof work will start here, and then it'll drive under here. As I've said before, very little preparatory work has taken place in this particular area. It doesn't look like they've, you know, hoarded any of this area off as per today. So that might indicate that they're not going to be starting for a fair while, but I still believe 5 to 8 weeks is about right on this one. Some parking spaces will be lost in this area. It's not a big deal. They've got thousands of parking spaces. I'm sure the Wynn Casino has parking spaces as well, so it's not like people are going to have to lose spaces overall in terms of getting there. Okay, this is kind of the turnaround area and also the waiting area, loading area, that kind of thing. If you count the vehicles, there's 12 vehicles and there's 2 vehicles in reserve. This is very tight here in terms of vehicles pulling through here. So it might even be that they use 11 vehicles, but there is space here for this crossing for vehicles to bunch up, as it were. It should be an easy project, this one. It should be very easy. The key kind of things that I'm going to be looking at are when does it start and when does it finish. Therefore, I can then ascertain how many meters per day they will achieve for this particular project. As you know, for the Las Vegas Convention Center project, they're getting in the region of 26.5, 27.2 meters per day, that kind of ballpark. Some days better than others. For Resorts World, they had that major stop in the middle. Prior to that major stop caused via the conveyor belt system failing, they were getting over 15-20 meters per day, which is kind of okay, but it's not great really, considering that the selling point of the boring company is speed of boring. On this particular project, anything less than 34 meters per day I consider a little bit of a failure, if I'm very honest with you. It should be well into the 40s now. They know the geology, they know the machine, they've got a good team there. They should be smashing this, really. So unless there's some kind of major issue again, I'd expect them to be well above 30 meters, potentially getting close to 40 meters, if not 40 meters. So there you go. That's what my thoughts are. This is another kind of top-down view of the system. Fairly self-explanatory, as you can see. That's the turnaround area here. There's the kind of, the launch part, and then here it is. It goes into the existing casino here, so it porpoises up around here. One interesting addition to this particular project, because it's quite a long tunnel, is I don't know if it's stipulated in the regulations or they've been asked to do it just as a safety measure, is there is a passenger egress shaft here. Now, it looks like this is basically sat in the sidewalk, and then if you need to get out, you basically press a button and it opens up. And there's no reason why they couldn't put some kind of stairwell just inside the boundary of this property here and have some kind of like shaft there. That might be a more cost-effective way of doing it, although it won't actually look as good. But that'll be the first time that they've had to build essentially an emergency egress point or some kind of shaft in the middle of a system. How will they build it? That's a very good question. It's possible they might build it in advance and then tunnel through that area, or they could do it kind of retroactively, wait until the TBM has passed this point here, and then basically go from the surface down. They could build a shaft, sheet piling, and then they could just excavate it, and then when they get to the tunnel area, they could break out the side of the shaft. Obviously they'd have to have some form of reinforcements in the actual tunnel itself, because ultimately what you're doing is breaking off one part of the arch, and that would obviously make it unstable. So it's disappointing we've not got like a diagram of that, because from a construction perspective it'd be interesting to know how they intend to do that. But there's many ways to do it. It's not that complex, and as long as they've got reasonable amounts of room here to do the work, they shouldn't have any issues. And it doesn't look like they will have an issue there in terms of availability of land. In terms of the last picture, this is what it's going to look like. So as you can see, the actual external lining of the tunnel is exposed here. I really do like that. The reason it's done like this is because they have like a cradle here, and the machine sits on the cradle, and then they push it down into the ground from the cradle. Initially, the TBM will move fairly slowly. We're talking maybe 7, 8, maybe up to 10 meters per day to begin with, just because it's starting on the cradle. It's very difficult for it to push off the cradle with as much force. So it's probably going to be somewhere closer to 6 to 7 meters. Once it gets going, then it should be well above 30 meters. Here on top, if you're wondering what this box is, it's some kind of ventilation system. Kind of looks not really the most aesthetically pleasing thing in the world. Not sure that's how I would have done it. I might have built something down here. Wow, and on there it just kind of look a bit of an add-on really. But yeah, so and here's the vehicles queuing. So as you can see, it's just a very simple structure. This area here that they're going to be building is going to cost next to nothing really. You basically just mark it out, set up some bollards, and maybe have a gate at one area so you can bring in and out vehicles. And Bob's your uncle. That's it. There's no covering or anything like that. This could cost less than $250,000 easily. Maybe way less than that. Who knows? But this is kind of the Boring Company's approach, where they want to drive down costs. Everything's nice and cheap. We don't need this. We don't need that. Just remove it. If it's not necessary, just remove it. I like this project. I think it's going to be a good project. I just want to see them make progress with proof rock. Proof rock progress, getting 40 meters, that would impress me. If this project rolls in after like 2 or 3 months and it's only done 17-18 meters per day, it's going to leave me a tad disappointed. But I'm hopeful that issues have been overcome. They figured out this kind of cassette system for the conveyor belt, and we're going to see 40 meters. That's what I think and what I hope is going to happen, and I guess we'll just find out. But I will keep you updated on this particular project. If you want to find out more about this project, obviously follow the channel, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Discord. Also consider going on Reddit as well. Reddit is a good source of information about the Boring Company. I've just found some very interesting information today, which I'll be discussing in a future video. If you do like this channel, if you like the Boring Company and you want to help support me, please consider backing me with $2 on Patreon, or even more if you really want to do that. Alright, fantastic. Oh, my Patreons, of course. We can't forget all these amazing people who support me and help me build this incredible setup, which you can't see, but it's everything that's in front of me has been replaced thanks to Patreon. Okay, guys, hope you have a great day, and remember, don't be boring. Take care now, stay safe, and I'll see you on the other side. Goodbye now.
And with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.